Once you shift your mindset and start becoming the person that believes that you can get the results, then it's just a game plan. Then it's just like, all right, let's pace up. What do you need to do next? And you start taking those actions.
Welcome to the Warrior Growth Academy podcast, where we go on a journey to discover who we truly are and becoming the better versions of ourselves. This is a very special right now because this is the episode number 1 of ever having a guest on the podcast. So far, there has been over 75 episodes when I was solo, and I'm truly excited. And I'm even more excited because the first guest is someone that I truly deeply love and respect. She's a pure atomic bomb of love and energy. She's a friend. She's an incredible inspiration, international speaker, international coach, incredible Sonia Zarbatany.
I'm so happy to be here, my friend.
Welcome.
I'm so proud. I'm so happy. Number 1, baby. I'm all in. I'm here for it all.
Any tips for me or for anyone who does something for the first time?
Yes, lean in and enjoy the process.
Yeah.
Like, be so fully present of everything that happens is meant to happen. Let it go where it needs to go. Don't think about it, be about it. Go into your heart and just connect. Just connect and have fun with it.
I love it. And it's true because honestly, we spent the day yesterday together. I mean, you were working, I was working. And I think that energy and that mindset came to me at night when I was kind of going into the overthinking of like, man, I should have done more research on every speaker, should have like a precise set of questions for each, right? Because since it is the first time, I want it to be perfect and I want to be prepared. But then kind of this fuck it and just like lean in came to mind. And I also have it usually, but often we overthink things when it's the first time, right? So
I think what's beautiful too is that you chose people that you truly have friendship with. You truly are family. You truly can show, yes, someone that is public. However, together we're going to give even more. We're going to play even more, and we're going to impact even more. And for me, in my world, it's like, I'm just so happy to be able to be a friend that can support your growth. That means so much to me. Like, I'm all in for you, for your listeners, for your growth, for the academy, for everything that you're creating. I am so proud that I can be a friend that just cheers you on. And if I can use my voice, my platform, anything I have, then that means so much for me. So that's why I'm here.
I appreciate you. First question that comes to mind, I've seen you in your world of, being a coach, but at the same time, a businesswoman and, running an enterprise and also being a wife and a mom. And one very specific moment came and kind of shocked me, I would say, but like in a positive way, is when, you have your moments when you need to be truly focused, right? You had like 2 days ago, a podcast with like 5 million people.
Yes.
And like, you made it clear to your kids that were at your office that like, okay, for the next hour, it's silence. But then kids being kids, especially one being 4 years old, right? Janu's 4 years old. 5. Okay. So, still at an age that probably whatever you said 15 minutes ago doesn't really matter now because he wants to see you. And he runs up to you and Mia runs up to you and you don't get mad. So like, my question to you now is how do you see this kind of family life and also work life? So, kind of different sides of our different lives, right? Because for someone else, it will be their regular job and also their spouse and then their family and their friends, right? So we have kind of these different parts of our lives. How do you blend all those together without like friction? And at the same time, not lose yourself in like, oh, my kids are at the office, so let's play for 35 minutes, but then you don't get done what you wanted to get done, and then there's like frustration and stuff, right? So how does that all fit together?
So I think it's a beautiful question because it's the question I get most asked is how do I work-life balance? But you actually experience like being there and seeing.
Yeah.
So what you're speaking about is the podcast that I had, which is, again, it's a huge podcast, massive podcast. And my kids were ped day. I feel like every single week there's a random ped day. So, and my kids come to my office. They love my office. But when this happens where I have to be so focused, whether in a masterclass, whether in a course, whether in a podcast or something live, my definition of who I am is I'm also a mom. And I believe that us moms, we totally get it. Us parents, we totally get it. Like we get it. And that's beautiful. And that is perfect too. It's that moment that's the real moment. I love that my life can be so real. My socials are real. My friendships are real. My podcasts are real. That means that if I choose to have my kids be at my tribe, be at my office, that means that I know my 5-year-old or my 9-year-old will at some point disrupt the podcast. And I will take that moment and not let it trigger me, but I'll be like, all right, it's okay because I'm also a mom. And that will inspire so many moms and dads that are also working and that have kids in the back or that get distracted and they're going to go, wow, this woman is so focused and fully present on her podcast, but she's also so real because she has her kid. So what I did in the podcast is I took a moment and it was Mia who came to show me her drawing. And I took that moment and I was like, Mia, I'm on the podcast, but sure, show me the drawing. She showed me the drawing. I actually showed it to the podcaster and I was like, this is my daughter. He was like, oh my God, hi Mia. And then I was like, I love you, baby. It's beautiful. Now mommy has to work. And that moment of me not feeling like I needed to have it all figured out and all perfect, it was perfect because to me, who I am is, yes, I am a speaker, whatever, all these great titles, but the title that I feel like I'm the best at is just mom. So I always embrace these kind of random moments because those are teachable moments for people that are listening and going, wow, I can also be that. I can be a wonderful speaker or whatever it is that you want to do and have these moments where my kids disrupt this because they always do. Be present in that moment and then go about my day and it be perfectly the way it needed to be.
I love it. So what you're saying in a way is not expecting perfect, but at the same time seeing those situations that are imperfect as perfect.
These are because I actually think it's perfect. You know why? Because I believe that these moments are the real moments. And these are the moments that people actually will actually relate to in the content or in the live or the masterclass. It happens to me all the time in my masterclasses and my groups know my kids. They're like, it's normal. And they love that. And every time I did another one where I was like, guys, I need to leave at 3:48 because at 3:50, I have to go on Zoom for parent teacher. And every mom on there was like, I get it. And it was that moment. It was that perfect moment because we have to get away from this. We are only one thing. We are beautiful beings of allowing ourselves to be wives, to be friends, to be so many more than just that one thing. And it's okay to have these moments in your work where it's like, I'm just going to choose to also be okay with being a phenomenal mom.
I love it. That's beautiful. Do you think when you say, right, speaker, coach, mom, wife, friend, these are in a way labels, right? Do you think, what are labels for and do they serve us or not?
No, so I'm really not a label person and I'm really not a box person. I'm a growth person, meaning if right now I'm in the season of play, let me play. If right now I'm in the hat of being a mom, I can be a mom, but I can also be really present to if I have to go do a live and just be like, Yanu, Mia, or my stepson, 3 stepsons as well. I could just be like, give me 15 minutes. Mommy has to go do this. I don't like labels and I don't, because anything that puts you in a specific box, you'll have to start conforming to it. And I just want to break all of that. I want to disrupt the entire industry of coaching, of friendship, of who you're supposed to be, of who said, who said you had to be like that? Like, I live a life of play. I live a life of flow. I live a life of abundance. I live a life of authenticity, of love. Like, those are labels that I like, not the not the ones that society gives me. I want to give my own, and I want to create my own definition of what does friendship mean to me. And I create that. Nobody's going to tell me what a friend is. I'm going to be really, really aligned with who I choose to be as a friend.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And why do you think people use those labels, and what does it do to our society? Right? Like saying, even the label of like success, right? Like that label is used mostly to people who, you know, mainly made it financially or like career-wise. So like, why actually do we have those labels? Like how do you think this came to be? Like probably 2,000 years ago, well, maybe then too, you were a shoemaker or you were a soldier, right? So why do you think those exist?
I think it's so beautiful to just now take a moment and really look at like, what does your definition of success mean? I'll give you an example. I grew up in so many times we look at our parents, and it's our parents that program us and give us the definition of their definition of success. So then we grow up thinking, to me, my family, I come from a family business. You know, my dad owned Guess Jeans, owned XOXO. So I was grown up in a family business. So his definition of success was very financial. So if I wanted to then be accepted, be loved, I had to make a lot of money. So I grew up believing that, if I wanted to be accepted, if I wanted to be loved, if I wanted to fit into that definition, I had to make a lot of money. So I learned how to make a lot of money. So but then I got into personal development very, very early in my life. And that's what changed my life. And that's why I went into coaching. But I realized that, hold on a second, that's my father's definition of success. It's not mine. My definition of success is very, very clear. And what I believe is a beautiful moment for your listeners to really take this in and go, hold on a second. This is the moment where you can redefine your definition of success. What does that mean for you? And it's okay for it to change. If you're in a position where right now you need finances, that's okay. Hustle, make money, pay your bills, get what you want. It's all good. However, don't let that again define you. Don't put that into the label of success means this. To me, success is a 360 degree. Success to me is impact. Success to me is love. Success to me is being surrounded by people who accept you for the fun that you are, for who you are, for yourself, accepting yourself. Like that to me is so much more aligned with my definition of success. And to me, making an extra 100 or 1,000 or whatever, that's not success to me. For me, it's truly the impact that I make in other people's life. But again, that's my definition. It's for everyone to just take that moment and go, hold on a second, like what is my definition of success? What makes me shine? What do I vibrate with? Like what can I separate my parents' definition of success to then mine? And you start walking that to me is like, now you're getting the juice. Now you're getting to see what resonates for you. And then your life starts to be fun, starts to be in flow, starts to be completely on, as we say, passion and purpose. But it's just, you just figured out your own definition and you started to walk that journey.
What do you see in the people that you coach or you speak to at conferences or that you meet just in general? What do you see as patterns that come often back and back in kind of people not stepping into their full potential or not pursuing something that is the next chapter in their life, so whatever that means? So
it's always the same, you know. It's so and it's unfortunate because I wish people could just step into my shoes. I've coached thousands of people. It's not like 100, thousands, and then there's so many limiting beliefs, but it always comes back to what will people think. You know, they stop themselves so much based on what will people think. You know, that's why I'm so proud of you. Like you're rocking out your podcast and it's just like you're just in the action, you're just doing it. It's not, but what will people think stops people so much from posting on socials, from sharing their things, from just getting started because they believe, what will my parents think? What will my friends think? What will my thing? Then it's this, what will people think is the imposter syndrome too, right? Perfect example again. You're like, well, other people are doing way bigger podcasts or whatever. So am I really even valued enough to be doing this. They stop themselves because of imposter syndrome. There's so many limiting beliefs that always go back to one thing. It's your mind. It's your head. If you stop yourself in business, we start with your head. If you stop yourself in your personal brand, your whatever, you start with your head. In relationship, it's your head. Why are you not putting yourself out there? Why are you not going up to that person that you might think is a perfect date for you or would be a great person? Is because you're so stopping yourself because of maybe I'm not pretty enough, maybe I'm not skinny enough, maybe I'm not this enough. So that really is the number one thing that stops everyone is mindset, always. Because once you shift your mindset and start becoming the person that believes that you can get the results, then it's just a game plan. Then it's just like, all right, let's pace up. What do you need to do next? And you start taking those actions. So if you're listening to this and you're going, okay, but yeah, that's great, Sonia, cool, but how do I get started? How do I get started? How do I do the first step, right? I go back and go, hold on a second. We actually really need to get into your mind and shift those limiting beliefs so that you can start getting into action and getting the life that you want.
And what would be, let's say, and I know it's a complex process and it's not a one dimension thing, right? Because it's things that have been built in our minds throughout time and things we started to believe, and also we have found the proof that it's true, right? Because whatever you believe in, you will find the proof in the world around you that it is true. It's true. You're worthless. Look, remember that person told you this in this situation. So you will have the proof that your belief is true, but it's not serving you. But now the question I would kind of move into is, you have a lot of people that look up to you. And at the same time, when it kind of goes into the same world of whenever you put someone high up there, you put yourself lower, right? So it can also actually cripple you more than anything. So what would be, that's the question, what would be a healthy way, right, to have inspirations or people that are inspiring around you, or even that you don't even know, like Michael Jordan or whoever, right? Like a sports person or anything, but that there's not like the comparison. Like at the same time, you realize that person is way higher on a certain chart, whatever that chart is, it might be the success or whatever, but you're not putting them on a pedestal.
Okay, I see what I know you. I know the question you're trying to ask me. I love it. Okay, so let's just break it down. Number one is never compare yourself. Don't compare yourself, because where I'm at, I've been doing this since I'm 23 years old. I've been coaching since I'm 23 years old. Okay, I'm obsessed with mastery. Like I'm obsessed with mastery. I am so completely aligned. I've processed these limiting beliefs of what people think. Like this is what I do for a living all day, every day. So please don't compare where I'm at to where you are. Be inspired and take note. Here's the note you want to take, number one. Let's go back to what you just explained, which was, well, your outer world, what you just explained was your outer world is just really a projection of your inner world. Okay. So how do you change that outer world? Is you need to change the inner world. What you also said was, you will label yourself something, which is I'm worthless, I'm blah, 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 because of the world around you and because of the definition of what you're making the world be. Here's what I want you to do. In order for you to really be able to do the first step into changing those limiting beliefs is you got to question yourself. What if it wasn't true? What if this was just a story that you were making up? Meaning, if you're saying to yourself, I'm worthless, I'm not good enough, right? And you just said, well, because of this happened, this happened, this happened. Okay, what if I told you that's bullshit? That's just a story you made up. What if you actually are not only do you have so much worth, but you're epic, you're legendary. First, change the words that you are using. You will never hear me say a negative word, not about me. My kids are so programmed that they are not allowed to say a negative word about themselves because we are programming our inner world. And then we're reflecting that on the outside world. So again, if you want to change how the world sees, it's all a story you're making up. None of this is real. None. We can have the exact same day and your perception of the day will be completely different than my perception of the day. right? So if you want to change your perception of the day, if you want to change your outside world, you start with changing your inner world. How? One is the power of words. Change the words that you use. Make it, I'm actually a fucking legend. I'm actually a fucking warrior. I'm unbelievable. Why? And then you change the story that you make up. Why? And then you start looking for the reasons why you are so worthy. You start looking for things in your outside world that make you an absolute legend, that make you not only enough, but just make you so valued, make you so loved, make it that other people would be so fortunate to be your friend, to be in a relationship with you, that podcasters are just waiting to interview you because you just have so much value to give to the world. So if you want to change your outside world, you need to start with changing the inner world that you've created.
That's beautiful. And it is true. It is true. Why do you think we got to a point, and I don't want to oversimplify things, but in a way, if we speak on average, what we are taught by society, with huge parentheses, and our parents even, and I'm not putting anyone's parents in this basket, just as average, we are taught that, you kind of just have to go through life and kind of, to exaggerate a little bit, survive, right? Like, just make sure you get a raise every few years. Just make sure you get a stable XYZ. And that's kind of the main mold, right? How was that created, and why? And how can we change that?
So that's not my world. Okay. Meaning, I get it. I don't even want to spend energy there because that's not the world that I want to create. So I don't care how it got to, and I know how it got to, but I want to really change the thinking so that we now be the change that we want to see. I want that, yeah, cool. Like, let's not blame your parents. That's not, like, I know where this all stems, but let's spend our time and creating the new paradigm. Let's spend our time creating a new reality where you don't have to wake up and work out. You get to wake up and work out. You don't have to go out and do a job and get money, or you get to create an epic life. At every single moment, you're in choice. Every moment. People ask me all the time, why are you so happy? Why you're always, I'm happy because I only do what I love. If I didn't want to do it here, I wouldn't be here. And I'm really good at saying no. I say no 99% of my time. I have no problems with it. Because I know that if I'm saying no to something, I'm going to say a hell yes to something else. So my life is a hell yes. And when it's a hell yes, that means I show up completely aligned and I'm all in, and I'm going to give it, and I'm going to show up, and I'm going to be fully present, and I'm going to love. So what I want to really, really inspire people, and not just inspire, but then give you actionable tools and actionable next steps that you can actually take, is why not make it a life that every moment of your life, you're in choice. You're in choice to make it epic. You're in choice to have these wonderful moments with your friends where your phone's away and you're actually present, with your kids when you can just play and be a great parent, with your job where you can be of abundance and create so much financials that you're just fulfilled in your work as well. Like, that's the way in which society needs to. Why society is stopping? Because it's easy. It's easy to control a society when you're playing small. It's easy. And you know what? You fit in. What I'm speaking about, I'm a disruptor. Like, I make people uncomfortable because I'm showing people through a reflection of themselves that, oh shit, maybe I'm not playing big in my life. Oh, maybe I'm not really having a great time with my husband or wife or friends or whatever. So that can be highly triggering for people. So, however, what's the reverse, where you just stay in a little society complaining about what you don't have, thinking that it's okay to just have a little life, and blah, blah, blah. Little lives are fantastic if you're happy and aligned with it. But if your inner world wants more, I'm that person that's going to say, let's fucking go. Let's go get it. Let's go get all of it. And trust me, you deserve to have this life of abundance, of abundance in love, in laughter, in play, and just this is it. Like, every single day that you're not playing all out and you're not choosing yourself and your family and your friendships and your life, like, that's just one more day where you're just kind of winging it and playing it. And there's so much more for you out there.
Yeah. Do you have any set of rules kind of for your life?
100%. I have a bunch of rules.
Name some. Some of your favorite and also most impactful.
My rules for my life, I just do what I want to do. I do what I want to do. Okay, I have so many rules. So I do what I want to do. I want to live a life of complete authenticity. I test my people. I test people around me all the time. I am so aligned with my values. Like, I'm so clear on what my values are, and I really, really stay aligned with those values. And the thing is, the more you grow and the more, successful you get and all that, everything comes to you. All of these opportunities come to you, and it could get really messy because you're like, hold on, this is exciting. This is really fun. This is real. So one of the ways that I choose is I just go back to my values all the time. And I'm like, hold on, is it impacting? Is this about community and tribe? Is this, will this make a difference? Like, I really get so clear on my values, and then I choose. I also say no. If it's not like exciting me, I'm going to just say no. Another of my rules is choose who you surround yourself with. It's so important because who you surround yourself with, again, that's your outer world. So I want to live in a world where I have people that have my back. I have people that play, have people that are about their own alignment too. Like, that's really important to me as well. Other rules is like, I'm into mastery. And I'm really, really, I like fear. People are like, oh man, I'm so scared. Like, fear. I've turned fear into excitement. So I constantly push myself where I'm like, am I pushing it hard enough? Because to me, it's not about, like, I love the journey. I'm not into the goals. I'll place goals, but I'm going to enjoy and the uncomfort of figuring it out. And the more you stretch yourself, the more you get hit in the face, right? That's just life. Like, the more you step out of the mold, and you create what hasn't been done, and you show, it's very uncomfortable there. So I've learned to like really lean into the uncomfort and just find calm amongst chaos. Like for me, like all these COVID stuff, all this stuff, like that was I played. I was like, oh, there's chaos. And then I just go in, because in my world, like my inner world, I've created such a world that is peaceful and play, and it's beautiful in there. So if the outer world breaks, like, I got this, and I will step up.
That's beautiful, because Bruce Lee, and this is my first segue, because the warrior, the foundation of the warrior are warriors like Bruce Lee and obviously many more, but he said the ultimate stillness is stillness in movement.
Yes, right? I'm so aligned with that. Yes.
Like you
100%.
If you are trying to be still, you will break, right? And anyways, there's a lot of comparisons and stories. Actually, that's a beautiful one, because that's kind of just the cherry on top of the cake, what he said. But I think, I don't know if it was related to this one, but he tells another story about when a regular tree that is too rigid, right, gets some snow that goes on the branches. At some point, since it's too rigid, the branches crack.
That's right.
A bamboo tree is so flowy that as soon there's this little accumulation of snow, it moves and the snow goes away, so it never breaks.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's flow. I play in flow. Yeah. And that's why. I don't know why, we have this concept of like, you want life to be easy. I don't want that. I don't want an easy life, because easy doesn't build character. Easy doesn't bring warriorness. Easy doesn't bring mastery. Like, I love where it's like, test me. All right. Oh, okay, this happened to me. Okay. Like, I love this. It's like bob and weave, and it's like, all right. And I watch, and it's like, show me who you truly are, and I'll watch, and I'll get it, and then I'll flow, and I won't judge. I'll be like, okay, thanks for letting me know who you truly are. I got it.
That's aligned perfectly, I would say, with one of the rules that I have for myself, and it's not about me today, but I want to share. Is that I have high standards but no expectations.
Yes, I know that.
Right? And what I've realized with time is actually a lot of people, I don't want to put most people in the basket, but a lot of people, at least around me, it was the opposite. Meaning, you expect that first date to go perfectly. You don't even know the person, but you expect them to do X, Y, Z. But then you accept in your life, and even what you do with your own life, you live at a very relatively low standards. And I'm at some point, I don't know if I heard it, so I don't want to take the full credit for that, but for sure I tweaked it and really truly practice it. But I'm like, how about no expectations, but high standards? Meaning, if let's say, just to continue with the same example, but a date can also be the same evolution of a friendship, can be the same evolution of a business partnership. First date, second, third, fourth. Everything's smooth. Everything's great. You get some laughs. You get a kiss. You get the love, the energy.
All that good stuff.
And then on the fifth one, you see something that is a hell no for you. Right? That is so not aligned that it's not like something that can be worked with, that can be easily changed, right? Are you mad about the last four?
No.
No, because at that point of time, they were awesome, and you were coming back not expecting anything. You were just coming back because you knew that so far this is going the right direction. And then as soon as it doesn't, you're like, okay, I have just new data. I can move on to something else.
Yeah. Can I just, one of the questions that I get asked all the time is, how come we're so close? I get this asked all the time. And can I tell you why we're so close? Why? Is because you are so completely aligned with who you are. That to me is really, really, when you find people, and again, it doesn't matter where they're at in their life or whatever, it's not about that. It's just like when they're really aligned with who they are, life becomes really simple, and you can have simple friendships, and you can have simple relationships, and you can have simple business, and you can have, I really love simple, where you're very aligned and your rules, like it's all over you. And I like that because I know what I know what I'm getting myself into. When, sometimes we always feel like we have to like compromise ourselves to fit into a box or to be, no, if you just stay completely true to yourself, completely aligned with yourself, then what's beautiful is you become very simple to deal with. You and I are very simple to deal with. We're all about, like, we're in our mastery of ourselves. Like, I never have to text you, hey, are we going boxing? We know we are. We're never we have no excuses. I don't care if you went out the night before. I know you're showing up and you're going to be about it. And then it makes very simple friendships. The other thing about you as well is that you communicate very well. So if you want to build long-term friendships, is just learn how to, and relationships, anything, learn how to communicate. And don't be in this kind of like, oh, this person didn't understand me. And but of course, we're all complex beings. And once you realize that that friendships can be just really simple, and you're really aligned with who you are and what your standards are, and then you communicate those standards. See, most people, they know their standards, but then they just cut you off, and the other person didn't know that that was such a non-negotiable for you. So what's really great about you as well is that you are really who you say you are, and you are very good at communicating your standards, how you are, how you think, and then it's just simple. So I really want to commend that about you, because that's really the reason why you and I are such great friends, because it's very, very simple.
I love it. Is it, and by the way, just a side note, and I'm not going to continue on that subject, even though it's a very interesting subject, but literally 2 days ago, I was talking with a friend of mine about friendships and how it functions, and how I explained to him kind of my view. And it doesn't mean it stops at that, but it's a matter, at the end of the day, it's a matter of what you bring to the table, but also what you get from the table.
Absolutely.
Bottom line. Because we want to keep it simple. If you go to a dinner and 5 people bring 5 steaks and you have no veggies, no potatoes, no water, no wine, no salad, there is a problem, right? Unless you're carnivore, right? And you just eat steak. Right? So all that to say is that if there is that clarity of, and it doesn't have to be the same thing, right? It can be different things, but and what's beautiful about it, because we talked about this for like 2 hours because we got deep and we discussed our own friendships and you including. And it's that it makes you, one, more aware of who you are and what you bring to the table. And ultimately, most probably, it brings up more confidence and self-worth.
Yes.
Because you realize tangibly that you do bring something to the table.
Yeah.
Because most probably a lot of people keep some friendships out of fear of not finding new ones or better ones. So you kind of like, again, coming back to the lower standards, you're like, well, I know this person for the past 15 years.
Yeah.
We might just stay friends for the rest of our lives. That's the right thing to do. And that's not a right way to see those things, because there's going to be that little frustration building up in you, never ending.
And especially what also happens so much in so many of my clients is they evolve, right? They get into personal development, they get into coaching, and it's so funny because we're talking about that in my group right now, which is, you know, they're evolving, they're getting into action, they're shedding those limiting beliefs, they're becoming the person that they want to become. And then they turn around with their friendships that they've had for the whole life and they're like, it doesn't relate anymore because these friendships did not evolve. So these friendships are still talking about people instead of events or what they're creating or all that stuff. So what's happening is that when you do these nights with these older friends, you feel like your energy's depleted. You feel like you're not leaving it going, I want to rule the world now. I'm ready to go and I want more of these friendships. So, you know, a beautiful thing is just kind of like, just get so aligned with yourself that you can be in a moment and go, this doesn't feel right anymore. It doesn't feel like I'm getting, you know, the energy, the love, the support. I feel like I can't be my true self and be celebrated for the work that I'm doing. So sometimes it's just about, and it's okay. It's not of judgment there's never any judgment. It's just, oh, okay, this is where I'm at right now. It doesn't mean, you know, stop, get rid of those friends. No, but maybe it's time for you to elevate your friendship circle to a level where you're surrounded with people that are on that same vibration as you, that are on that same values as you, that are playing a bigger level, that are showing you, you know, that there's another way to get to a life that you're wanting to create. And that's okay. And it always happens like that. The more you grow, the more you develop, the more you start really stepping into it. You know, there's people in the back that are going to say, no, stay here. We want you here. It's, you know, we want you here. So the beauty is just trust that the more you lean into yourself, the more you're going to start to manifest into your life people that are on that same energy, that also want to play, that also want to travel the world, impact the world, do epic things, live a life of abundance.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You mentioned quite a few times since the beginning the flow, the feeling, right? So that's, I think we can use another word, which is gut feeling or intuition, right?
Yeah, totally.
How do you, because that's something a lot of people, I think, realize how it's powerful, but if you haven't practiced and listened to it for most of your life, it's not going to just be a button that you press and one of the sudden gut feeling is your best mentor.
Yeah.
So how do you practice and kind of let that gut feeling guide you more, especially in those situations, friendships, when it's also emotions that are involved?
Well, there's so many ways, but let's look at one of them, which is just like that stillness. You know, the mastery is the Bruce Lee us, but like I'm in that mastery of like, I can find stillness in movement. I can find peace in chaos. But I've mastered this. Like this is years of me having to step away, getting aligned, feeling how I feel, feeling like this isn't the right place. This isn't it. And sometimes you don't know what to call it. It just isn't it. Sometimes maybe you're in a relationship right now, you're listening to it and you're going, shit, Sonia, like I'm with someone, but this isn't it. Call it what you want, you know, call it your alignment, your intuition, your gut feeling, call it whatever you want. It doesn't matter what you call it, but it's just you finally listening to yourself. And yourself is telling you that 1 second, maybe it's time to course correct. Maybe it's time to find another circle, to be with yourself, not find another relationship. But then the thing also is you need to be able to learn to trust yourself. In order to be able to trust friendship, to trust others, you have to first learn how to trust yourself. And you have to get the lessons from what's happening to you in your world. See, you might be going from relationship to relationship, and then you're going, oh, there's all shit men. Well, hold on here. What's the common denominator? You. You're you. You're the common denominator because you're going from one shitty relationship to another toxic to another. You haven't done the work. So instead of just, not being okay with being alone, how about try being alone, and how about try falling in love with yourself and trying being in intuition and into stillness with yourself and spending more time with yourself and listening and learning the lessons. And once you start to listen, then it starts to show up. And then you start to realize, oh, hold on a second. I've been here before. This is the toxic traits that I had from my other relationship. Let me not go into this. And then you take a step back. And that's where you start the journey. And you start to trust yourself. And you start to go, I'm going to choose something different. And remind yourself one thing. At every single moment of the day of your life, you're in choice. You're choosing this podcast now, and I hope that you have a pen and a paper, and I hope that you will take action out of one takeaway. If you could take one takeaway from this podcast, you and I did our job. We crushed life because that's why we're doing this, right? It's not for us. Like, we know each other. It's about what impact can we give your listeners, and if they have one takeaway that they can get from this.
Yes. And just to add on to, because, some people need some science, right? To make it legit, to make it credible.
Exactly. Yes. Give them the stats. Give them the stats.
And not saying that things that are not backed by science are not legit, right?
But because all of this is, yes.
Because there's a lot of things still in our world that hasn't been really explained truly, right? But how that gut feeling works is there is a correlation. It's not like literally the same thing, but there's a correlation with our subconscious brain, right? And that brain actually analyzes data that is yours about your own life, not what the first thought that comes to mind because that's what your mom told you or that's what you think, whatever. It analyzes thousands and thousands times quicker the situation. Right? So, for example, you go, again, I don't want to continue with the date examples, but let's say you go on a third date, but there's something telling you it's not right. Your brain saw the other person on the second date do some very shady stuff. And your conscious brain kind of just brushed it off because it was your first date in months, you're a bit lonely, you're kind of in a hurry to get into a relationship, right? So like your conscious pushes you and convinces you to still go on that third. Your subconscious is like, bruh, we know that pattern. We've seen it in past relationships. This is XYZ. This type of person is exactly gonna bring you the same toxicity and pain as your last relationships, right? So that gut feeling is backed by your life experience and also by all the data and situation that is going on that you're not even conscious of most of the time. Interesting, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. We cannot be on the Warrior podcast if I don't
go warrior on them.
Yeah.
Go warrior on them.
But before going warrior, and I'm not really sure what that means, so we're gonna have to figure it out. But
yes,
what it means for you to be a warrior? What is a warrior?
A warrior is someone who stands for their beliefs. To me, that's the ultimate. Like, who stands for their beliefs? To me, I'm really, really the definition of that. Because not only do I stand for my belief, I stand for my friendships. I just stand. Like, I'm that person. You can't knock me. You just can't. You can't not. Everyone has tried. I'm still here. No, you
dodging
can't.
The shots.
No, not even dodging. I've got him in the face, and I feel that like a warrior is also somebody that gets beat down. Like no one truly has phenomenal success without getting the pain. And I've had a lot of pain. Like, I've had a lot of pain. And I felt the pain, and I've leaned into the pain, and I've experienced so much hurt and, the passing of my mom and just so many big painful moments. And I'm still standing, And because now it's not about me anymore, because I truly am at a place where it's like, there's nothing more that I, Sonia, personally want or need. Like nothing. Like there's nothing that's, oh, I need more of something. So that's not like those days are so gone. So now my mission is so strong that it cannot break me because it's not about me anymore. You know, when you make it so about you, where you bring a goal about, you know, making your first, I don't know, 100,000, million, whatever it is, like, okay, you get it. And then you're like, so what, you know, but then you're chasing the net. Oh, I made $1 million. No, let me make a $2 million launch for what? Like there's no, you know, whatever you could. So once you get out of like the ego of just like rushing to the ego and getting, you know, you podcast, and then you have 100 listeners, then you want 1 million listeners and the numbers and then the social, like it's so easy to get caught up in that shit. And I'm not at all, which is really interesting because I'm very active over socials but what's really beautiful about like, what is it to be a warrior is to just really that mastery of this is the life, this is the legacy, this is the mission that I've created. That is not, that has nothing to do with society's telling me that this is what it is to be a mom or successful or a friend or a wife. None of that. Like I've truly made up this. I've made up this definition. I've made up my definition of my career, of my business, of what I do for a living. I make up, you see me make this up. I make up events. I make up experiences. I make it up because I've created a life that there is space for creation. And I've done so many times where I've leaned into the fear, leaned into the uncomfort. And when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And when I say I'm going to show up to it, I do it. So I've built so much trust with myself that now I don't have a choice. Do you see, like to me, being a warrior is I don't have a choice. I have to go because it's so much bigger than me. It is mission based. There is so many people out there that need love, that need empathy, that need actual tools to make them live the life that they want. There's so many kids that need us to be these role models, to lead with empathy, to lead with kindness. Like that's the world I want to live in. So that to me is like the ultimate warrior, where it's like, it's not about what happens. It's like how you show up, you know, the person you are and how you get to help and be of empathy of other people.
I love it. How do you go from a very me world, which I think we all need to go through at some point in order to save ourselves, depending where you at. And how do you move into something that is greater than you? Like, how do you, let's say, figure out and, you know, go into that process of being like, hey, I don't want to make my life only about myself. Yeah,
because it's so long. Look, and there's nothing wrong with that. But again, you know, I've been in the coaching industry since I'm 23. Like I've done, you know.
But you're 27, right?
Exactly. So like nothing. It's like 4 years.
So you're still a newbie.
Yeah, I would love to think so. But I think it's just because I've done it and I kind of got the milestones that I put on my vision board when I was really young. And I thought that once I would achieve these things, you know, at first it was like, okay, when I would speak on stages at 26, I was speaking on 1,000 people stages. When I would become a coach and I was doing that and I was the first women, and when I would travel and I did that. And then when I would, on my vision board, I had a G-Wagon and I have that and I made my first million and I did all the things. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. That's not it. Like I was like, what do you, okay. Yeah. Like I got the abs and I got the things. And I was like, because again, like my programming was success is
these things.
Those, like I know how to get to that. And I was like, this isn't it. And then I just was like, I need to go figure myself out. And my coaching at the beginning, I was like, I was doing this to get validation from, okay, mommy and daddy, am I good enough now? Like, you know, and I didn't know that. Like I didn't even know. Sometimes we do things and there's the biggest coaches on the planet and they're still stuck in this ego. And so I think it's okay to just, you know, just be so okay with yourself and being like, this is the season where I'm at. And at one point I just got like, no, I started to give. I started to be about charity. I started to be about contribution. I started to be about you know, I want not only to be a role model for my kids, but I want to be a role model for other women, because I didn't have that. I never saw a woman on stage with her kids, with a marriage. People always told me like, oh, you'll see when you're going to be older, you won't have that much energy. You'll see when you're going to have kids. You'll see nobody's ever going to want to marry you because you're too much. Like those were, and I was like, yeah, watch me, bitch. And I would just go. Yeah. And now I want to be that person that could say, honey, you can have it. It's going to be work, but you can do it. And now I find so much more meaning in my life, because you can't touch me. Like you can't, like just, it doesn't, you can't touch me. But what gets to me is the impact that I get to do in other people's lives. Like that's what I'm really, really about. The rest, like I don't give a shit. I don't need more of anything. I just want to give of impact and grow to be able to help more people.
What, and that might be a very typical 9-to-5 interview question, but what is your vision for, let's say, 10 years, 15 years in, like, you know, at the same time, I know you're going with the flow with some things and letting also the magic of life, you know, create new opportunities. But at the same time, do you have a certain idea of like, in 15 years, I'll have whatever schools all over the world and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So it's so funny. I'm a strategist, like, you know me, like I build strategies. I love a whiteboard. I love a game plan. I love like, okay, this is the I'm really that. And I'm really into creating where are we going? What's the vision? How do we get there? But in my own personal life, every goal that I've given myself for the next year and next 5 years, I've chopped it down and did it in 6 months. Or something gave me a curveball and I leaned in and it was like, oh, now I'm in, you know, whatever. Now I'm in Spain or Dubai or wherever I want to go. So I'm so into really, really being aligned with the journey right now. Like that's the vision. I want to be a phenomenal mom to my kids. I want to be able to impact in the most way, but that doesn't even just mean me. That's why I want to play with my friends and I want to grow with people, because impact it's not the coach Sonia. I'm not trying to be like, I'm so done with that. Like it's not about me. It's like, hey, how could we be of impact together? That's why I want to bring people together. That's why I want to work on global issues. That's why I only get involved with things that are about the world, not about a city. So I just want to like, just let me create. Just like, let me create. Let me really be aligned with the present moment and let me enjoy this journey of flow and let me be the person that is actually about that, you know? And then let me empower so many others to just live their best life. Like if I do this, I'm good. Like what am I, a jet? What else do I want? Like nothing, I'm good. Yeah. And let it be. Like, we don't know. Will I be here in 5 years or no, but I will be exactly where I'm supposed to be.
I love it. I love it. Do you have any final thoughts or message that you want to leave people, even though there has been a lot of golden nuggets all across the board throughout this episode, but is there any final thought, maybe one action they can take tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening to step into their greatness? So the reason why I do podcasts and the reason why I say yes to these things, it's always like, it's not about my story it's about what can you do today? I don't even want them to wait for tomorrow morning. It's like, finish this podcast, sit yourself down, take a journal, write one highlight, you know, screenshot this, share it on socials. I want to see what was your highlight and what will you do today? What's one action step that you can do today to make it one step closer to the life that you want? So if we recap some of these really golden moments that you can maybe listen to is, one, look at your friendship circle. Like, is there something that I can elevate there? When I leave my friends, do I feel more energized or not? Two, am I really aligned? And am I really being the person that I truly choose to be? If not, maybe your first step is just to create the definition of like, what is that definition of success for you? And not society. Like, if you just want to play with your kids and you want to be an epic mom, I love you. Like, do that. But make sure that your definition is yours, right? So maybe it's about creating your own definition for success. Maybe it's the label thing. It's like, look at that and tell yourself, hold on a second. Maybe I've been put in a box and maybe
I've outgrown that box. So then what's that look like for you? Right? So write that down and say, okay, well, if there was no box and if I could live a life of no rules and in my inner world, what would I have to change? Right? And write that down. Or for you, if you're in a level where you're like, hold on a second. To me, what's this warrior mindset? You know, what is that warrior mindset? What would a warrior mindset for me, listening here, what would that look like for me? And then you write it down. Because once you write it down, then it starts to, again, it's that thought. And a thought written down, and when you start to speak it, right, then you start to create the actions, right? What's that one action you can take? And an action that you're repeating over and over, guess what it happens? It happens to be a habit. Once you create these habits and you create the habits over and over, then it becomes your identity. So as you want to probably shift your identity into becoming the person that takes the actions, that's about her alignment, that's about impact, mission, whatever it is that resonated with you, it always starts with a thought. So write that down right now. And what's one thought that you say, this resonated with me and I want to take this action? That's all I want to give. If I can give your listeners just that one takeaway that they can implement into their life, like, my job's done. I'm good. We crushed it.
Yeah, baby.
Right?
I love it.
I love it.
I appreciate you more than words could explain. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Make sure to do that one action, one little reflection. And I think, even though I'm doing the outro right now, but it doesn't matter. We rewrite the rules, right? We so often overthink and wait for that perfect moment. And I know it sounds super cliche, and I am still, even through, years and years of work on myself and everything, I'm still victim of that sometimes, when you kind of want to wait for the perfect microphone to start your podcast. Bullshit. You can have a microphone for $40. You kind of want to still watch a few more videos and read a few more books to know better that subject. No, sure, don't start with not knowing nothing, but don't wait for the perfect moment. Just start. On this, make sure to subscribe to the channel. There's also a lot of episodes that are only on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and the audio platforms. And I will see you at the next episode of the Warrior Growth Academy podcast. And we out.
Killed it.
Yo.
Yo.